let's talk about 4 ways that you can create a leveraged online program for additional revenue, saving you time in your coaching or service-based business. Now, one of the things that I get asked a lot is, Kylie, I want to create something online, but I just don't know where to get started. Most people think that they're not a guru, they don't have a problem they can solve, or maybe they're the other extreme where they're drowning in ideas and just don't know where to get started. So let me show you sort of 4 methods that I quite often use to get people thinking about how they could create and leverage an online program. Because I want to kind of show you some different methods that actually work, but more importantly, that you could use to get started. So and why do I want to talk to you about online businesses? Well, the online education and coaching space is booming and it's not going to change. Now, the way people are learning is changing. They're not really doing a lot of do-it-yourself type courses as much anymore. They're really looking for community, connection, accountability, things like that. But the online education space is continuing to grow and it's not going away. It's going to get even more with AI coming, accessible to platforms, things like that, where people are literally creating programs for you to create your programs much, much faster. So how do I know this? Well, I'm Kylie. I'm an online business strategist. I've been working in the online space now for about 7 years. I've helped and launched over a dozen major programs. I've had clients go to 1 million. I've had clients go to 6 figures. So I've been in this space for a long time. And when I first got started, I didn't know anything about creating online educational coaching. I actually left corporate work. I was a salesperson. I've been in sales for 20 years in the corporate space. I was running a real estate branch, and then I did headhunting and recruitment, and I didn't know anything about this online space. And I went to an event in London, the National Achievers Congress, and suddenly I got into this online marketing space and went, wow, there's this whole world out here I'd never heard of and didn't know anything about. So I got into online marketing and I started to learn things like what it takes to build a sales funnel, what is a course, what is actually online marketing, and how can you use it to grow your business. So I got into the space selling other people's products and programs. And I'm going to tell you how I got stuck in a trap by doing that, but it gave me the best education. I worked with people like Frank Kern, Russell Brunson, all those sorts of guys to learn and understand the online marketing space. But what I was really passionate about was how I could take that knowledge and skills into the service-based industry, which is what I'd been in both recruitment and real estate. I was in the service-based space, how they could leverage and create more income through the online marketing that I teach. But the first question I get is, where the hell do I start, Kylie? Where do I come up with the ideas? How will I know a program will sell? So in this video, I'm going to teach you 4 different ways you could think about teaching what you actually do, or literally coming up with a program that will sell for you. So the first method I like to call is the 3-circle method. Imagine a blank piece of paper, you're drawing 3 circles on the paper and you've got a sweet spot that overlaps in the middle. Now the first part of the circle is, what am I passionate about? So what am I literally, if I could talk about it all day, what could I talk about? Mine is always about how can I help coaches and service-based businesses grow, and also building financial independence through my Iconic Wealth for Women community. So what am I really passionate about? What do I want to help? What do I want to see? What problem do I want to solve in the world? Then what am I bloody good at? Like, it's no good having passion if you don't have any skills. So what am I good at? So when I first got started in the online space, I was really good at sales. I was really good at using intimate events to sell. That's how I sold very effectively. So I got really good at leveraging using online marketing to build lists, to create programs, and then use intimate events to sell. So that's what I teach a lot of my clients to do, so they can get out there and do the same. So what are you darn good at? What are you really exceptional at? And it could be as simple as an Excel spreadsheet. I know someone that makes thousands from an Excel course and community. I know someone that makes that has a community of something like, I think about 10, 15,000 women in her community around nails. You know, when they paint nails and they do arts and crafts and stuff on your nails, she has a whole community around that. So what are you darn good at? What are you mastered across your life that maybe someone else needs to know? And it doesn't have to be this big thing. Quite often, it's the thing that people ask you for the most that you think, that's not really valuable, but it is. That can be the most valuable idea. And then the third quadrant of the circle is, what will people pay for? Now, often this is where people go, oh, there's already someone else doing it. And that's a good thing. We want to know that people are spending money in it. So, for example, I'm looking at the moment at doing something in the wealth space. And if no one else was doing it, I'd be worried there wasn't an audience there. Does that make sense? So you want someone, you want to know what people are paying for, and then you've got to find your sweet spot that's different to everyone else. But that's the overlap. So what am I passionate about? What am I good at? And what will actually people pay for? Because again, if you're an amazing dancer and you're passionate about it, but no one will pay you for it, it's no good. It won't make you any money. We still want to build a business around your passion. Yeah. So don't just do something you're passionate about if there's no market for it. So think about that first. That's method one. There's the 3-circle method. Method two is teach what you've already done. So if, for example, I don't want you to overthink this, it could be something others people want that you've already done. So, for example, a hairdresser salon could be how they grew their business to multiple locations. So, could you teach someone else how to do that? What were the steps that you took? How did you balance the growth? What were the changes you had to go through? So it's things like that. You're basically teaching someone else what you've already done. It could be that you've created an award-winning gym. How did you build it to be an award-winning gym? How did you increase your customer service? Like, what was it that took you to become award-winning, for example? It could be, or you might want to franchise that out. You might want to create a franchise model. But you're teaching what you've done. So you could have built one of the fastest growing design agencies. Well, how have you done that? How did you get your first clients? How did you position yourself in the marketplace? So you're teaching the thing that you've already done and achieved. And then, so for example, one of my top clients taught how they built a massive property portfolio through using the rent to rent strategy to get started. Now they do bigger developments and major apartments and things like that, but they got started through that process. So they teach that in their method. They have a 6-step framework that teaches other people how to do what they did. So I want you to think about that's method 2 is teach what you've done. Method 3 is share from your experience. So this is where maybe you've overcome a major challenge in your life or you've done something specific that you could then teach other people how to do. So it could be maybe you were a therapist that was struggling with anxiety yourself. Now you've gone on to speak in front of 1,000 people on stage and you broke that anxiety. How did you put yourself out there? What steps did you take? Like, again, how did you overcome something? It could be, obviously, we hear this all the time, from broke to financially free. But, these hero stories are there for a reason because someone else is in that situation and they want to get out of it. So, what's your hero story? Sarah, one of my clients in the US, I absolutely adore. She specializes around bone density for people that have been diagnosed or going through the process of diagnosis of osteoporosis. Why did she do this? Well, she helped her nana through the process. So her nana went through, she had a hip fall. So she fell and she broke her hip and fractured her hip and she had to come back, and it was all down to this sort of process and bone density. She then had her own scare and her own situation, knowing that actually she could succumb to the same thing within the family. And so she started to learn all about building strength and developing a process of nutrition for her bone density. So now she teaches others how to do with it, how to live with it, how to do everyday activities, how to, simple things like literally picking up the shopping. She couldn't pick up the shopping at one stage because she couldn't have the strength to lift. Now she can. So she shows you how to do that. So it's overcoming a shared experience. So something you've overcome. Weight loss is another big one. Lots of people go, when they go on their own journey, then they teach others how to do it. So I want you to share your experience. That's the method 3 that could be right for you. And method 4 could be leverage what you've learned. So you don't need to be necessarily an originator. You could start small and literally duplicate a system of something that you've learned. So for example, take me. When I started selling online products and programs, I hadn't done it myself. So what I realized was I was really good at taking someone else's knowledge and skills out of their head, packaging it in a logistical way that sells, because I'm really darn good at sales and marketing. So I didn't have my own course. I hadn't made millions through courses, but what I was doing is I was selling other people's products and programs online. That's how I got started in the online marketing space. Those products range from 97 right through to 30K. And I realized actually, hey, this is what people were doing in the online marketing space at the time. Now it's obviously, God, nearly 8 years down the track. It's obviously grown and developed now into this big online education and course space. But originally, I could see this gap. I was sitting there going, well, hang on a sec, these guys are making thousands online over here in this space, but yet the coaches and service bases weren't doing that. They were like, they didn't see the benefit of leveraging online. So I realized there was a gap in the market. And that's how I started helping service-based business owners to go, hang on a sec, you've got knowledge and skills that someone else around the globe needs to have, and I can show you how to package it up, launch it, and create a system around to sell. So does that make sense? But I didn't have, and still don't have, $1 million course myself. It's hilarious because then I got into building other people's products and programs with them. So I want you to think about, you don't have to be the guru. You have to be at least 4 or 5 steps ahead of someone else. But you could definitely leverage something around what you've learned. And I want you to think about this adaptability, maybe something you've seen, but you could put your own spin on. So I want you to think about things like Netflix. I mean, Netflix versus Blockbuster, they were both at the time DVD rentals. But what Netflix did was it took on the streaming thing. It realized that was where the market was going. And suddenly they become one of the biggest streaming of videos and movies and things like that. So it was the same concept. They started in the same way, but there was different execution with it. So I want you to think about, Richard Branson talks about this a lot, is take something really good that frustrates the hell out of you and make it better. So for example, that's how he started Virgin Airlines, was he was sick of going to other airlines and having bad service, especially in the business class and things like that. He just wasn't getting the service level he wanted. So he took an airline and turned it round to the service level and quality that he wanted to do. So where could you adapt something that you've done or learned and literally make it better? So that's what I want you to start to think about. So there's 4 core methods that you could today start to think about how you could then create a leverage program around it. So the first one is the 3-circle method. What are you passionate about? What are you good at? And what will people pay for? The second method is teach what you've already done. What have you already achieved? What have you done and how can you help others do it? So for example, I know a guy that built a really highly successful mortgage business. And because of that, he was incredible at marketing. And other mortgage companies were saying to him, well, how have you grown your mortgage base so big, so fast? So then he started a mastermind and started teaching other mortgage-based businesses to market their business better, to leverage social media, to do the things he was doing really simply. So again, there's a community out there that you could teach what you've already done that doesn't need to be hundreds or thousands. Method 3 is share your experience. So what is your experience that you've overcome? Have you, climbed Mount Everest and you want to teach someone else how to do it? What's the experience that you want to teach? Or leverage 4 is learn what you've done. So leverage what you've learned. So have you learned something specific that you could then transfer into a program, teach someone? Once you get the results, then they continue to get results. You can continue to grow that. Because then once you've done it, when you've done it with other people, you've then got the evidence and that's what I did. When I started selling the first programs and I started getting people 10K, 20K, and even 30K launches, then I become a launch specialist and I knew that that's what I was able to do very effectively, and it continued to grow and I continued to get paid well to do it. So you're sitting there currently in your business going, I have no idea where to start. The other thing I want you to think about is, do you have a way to bring community together? So I was hanging out with a really cool HR girl the other day, and I know someone else that's creating something similar at the moment. You've got lots of HR knowledge, you've got lots of education training. They're quite often creating training around new legislation, changes coming in, things like that. And they realize there's HR consultancy for businesses that are a level that need that. They need that interim before they have potentially a full department. But also there's this other market that can't quite afford that yet, and they're still growing. And they started to build a community around those sorts of people, and they help with HR tips. They jump on lives, they have Q&As. They teach new education. So again, can you build a community potentially around your business and what you're actually doing effectively? So I want you to get started. So here's an exercise you can do is grab a blank piece of paper, choose one of the methods above, one of the methods that you've gone through in this video, and I want you to start to mind map. Don't judge, don't think about it too much, but I want you to start to mind map some of the ideas, get them out of your head and onto paper, and then start to think about, is there a process to it? Is there something that you repeat over and over again? Is there a journey that you went through? And start to map that process out, and that will help you then get clarity around a potential idea. Now, if you want to test the idea, one of the ways that you could test it is create something for free around that topic and see if people sign up for free. So it could be a simple video, it could be a lead magnet, it could be a checklist, something around the topic or theme to put out to the marketplace and see if people jump on it and want to sign up. So start with the idea, start to think about your own journey, your own community. Who would you love to hang out with? Who would you love to educate? What problem do you want to solve in the marketplace? And that's where we start from. So if you found this video really helpful, just hit subscribe to my channel, and comment below if you come up with some ideas. I'd love to hear them. What have you explored? What did you come up with that maybe you hadn't thought about? I'd love to hear it. Tell me where you're at in relation to your online business journey, and I'll speak to you soon.